Hello, everybody. How are you? Happy to see you all. The Chattering Magpie is here with the gang. We are excited and we are chomping at the bit just to get started on the read. Hey, gang. What's up? How are you?
Hello.
Hey.
Wow.
Happy to see you guys here, and thank you for joining me on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. We are racing ever closer to the end of Volume 1 of Count of Monte Cristo. We have gotten past some really good content. Let's see, Edmond Dantès was incarcerated, he got free, we got adventures, but why am I saying what happened when Ye has so wonderfully put it in the comments? Ye, do you want to take it away and read to us the summary of what's been happening?
Last time, on the Count of Monte Cristo, Dantès unsealed the grotto on the island of Monte Cristo. Then, daring not to hope, he ventured deep into the cave, found the secret second cave behind a bricked-up wall, and dug for his rightful reward. His faith in Faria was not misplaced, and he uncovered wealth beyond his reckoning, the Spada treasure. From there, Dantès used a small amount of the treasure to acquire a new ship for his friend Jacapo to sail back to Marseilles. In all haste, and a new ship he could sail himself. He picked up the remainder of his treasure from the island, then, meeting with Jacapo, discovered the death of his father and the disappearance of Mercedes. He then sailed to Marseilles himself, where he purchased his old home so that he might grieve in peace, and looked for clues about what happened to Mercedes. He also found a clue about the least of his enemies, Chateauroux, and intends to pursue him, this time on the Count of Monte Cristo.
Thank you very much, Ye. Yes, that is basically last read. If you want to read the whole thing, it's right there in the chat. So, Ye, you were also the very first one in the chat. So, here's have a whole bunch of hearts. Also in the chat is Patrick. Hey Patrick, happy to see you here. No, I know you're not feeling so good, and but I'm happy that you're here. I really am. Says sorry everyone, today may not be at my best. I may even have to leave partway through. No problem. No worries at all. It's understandable. Byron Balaam is also here with us. Welcome, Byron. How are you? Yes, you did make it on time. I'm glad the notification reached to you from what I've been hearing. Sometimes you don't get them, so it's good to see that you are here. Welcome. Let's see who else is here. PJ, Eddie here, Patrick here. Yeah, okay, we're here. We're all here. Oh, little butterfly, how could I miss you? Hello, butterfly. The only little here. You're here. Yes, you are here. Have a whole bunch of hearts too. Hearts for everybody, all around. Okay. All right, darling. So we have a rather long chapter to get through, so we're gonna cut down on the nonsense today. As much as I would like to, just shoot the breeze with you guys. You're gonna have to join us over on our Discord server if you want to talk about anything and everything. Shoot the breeze, watch anime. We're here. We're always here, but you're gonna have to join us on the server. To do so, you can become a member at the noble tier and above. Okay, so there we go. All right. That out of the way, let us get started with the next chapter that we're going to read. And these are the following folks. We have the Abbé is going to be read. Oh, the Abbé. Not the Abbé, but you'll see. The Abbé / Edmond Dantès. Edmond took up the habit. Oh my. Not so
Spoilers.
fast. All right. I know. Should ignore what I just said. Edmond is going to be read by Patrick. Yay 82 is going to be read by Gaspar. No, wait. Gaspar Caderousse is going to be read by Yay 82. Sorry, I would never call you Gaspar de Caderousse.
Yay 82 will be read by Gaspar de Caderousse. Wait, what? Oh no! Oh
no! No. And finally, La Carconte. La Carconte. Madeleine Radel is going to be read by Teal. Oh wow, we're going to get that part. Yes. Okay, cool. Everybody ready? You guys don't know who are these people? It'll be important. You'll figure out soon enough. And of course, as ever, we're immensely grateful to our highlighter MVP, Teal. Teal, thank you for highlighting these chapters. You're doing an amazing job so far. Look at you, almost done with the first volume. Oh my goodness. Have a star. Yes.
Thank you.
You know those little sticker stars that they give you for a reward at school? One of those.
Mhm.
Oh my god. I know it's nothing, but you know, the feeling is there. All right, you guys. I said no nonsense, so let's just have no nonsense. Let's read chapter 26, the Pont du Gard Inn. Sorry, I have to cough a little.
Right into the mic.
The Pont du Gard Inn. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. I muted it for YouTube, but I forgot to mute it on Discord. I'm sorry. There, equal opportunity cough. Chapter 26, The Pont du Gard Inn. Such of my readers as have made a pedestrian excursion to the south of France may perchance have noticed, about midway between the town of Beaucaire and the village of Bellegarde, a little nearer to the former than to the latter, a small roadside inn, from the front of which hung, creaking and flapping in the wind, a sheet of tin covered with a grotesque representation of the Pont du Gard. This modern place of entertainment stood on the left-hand side of the post road, and backed upon the Rhone. It also boasted of what in Languedoc is styled a garden, consisting of a small plot of ground on the side opposite to the main entrance reserved for the reception of guests. A few dingy olives and stunted fig trees struggled hard for existence, but their withered, dusty foliage abundantly proved how unequal was the conflict. Between these sickly shrubs grew a scanty supply of garlic, tomatoes, and eschalots, while lone and solitary, like a forgotten sentinel, a tall pine raised its melancholy head in one of the corners of this unattractive spot, and displayed its flexible stem and fan-shaped summit, dried and cracked by the fierce heat of the subtropical sun. All these trees, great or small, were turned in the direction to which the mistral blows, one of the three curses of Provence, the others being the Durance and the Parliament. In the surrounding plain, which more resembled a dusty lake than solid ground, were scattered a few miserable stalks of wheat, the effect, no doubt, of a curious desire on the part of the agriculturists of the country to see whether such a thing as the raising of grain in those parched regions was practicable. Each stalk served as a perch for a grasshopper, which regaled the passers-by through this Egyptian scene with its strident, monotonous note. For about 7 or 8 years, the little tavern had been kept by a man and his wife, with 2 servants, a chambermaid named Trinette, and a hostler called Picard. This small staff was quite equal to all the requirements, for a canal between the Beaucaire and Aigues-Mortes had revolutionized transportation by substituting boats for the cart and the stagecoach. And as though to add to the daily misery which this prosperous canal inflicted on the unfortunate innkeeper, whose utter ruin it was fast accomplishing, it was situated between the Rhone, from which it had its source, and the post road it had depleted, not 100 steps from the inn, of which we have given a brief but faithful description. The innkeeper was a man of from 40 to 50 years of age, tall, strong, and bony, a perfect specimen of the natives of those southern latitudes. He had dark, sparkling, and deep-set eyes, hooked nose, and teeth white as those of a carnivorous animal. His hair, like his beard, which he wore under his chin, was thick and curly, and in spite of his age, but slightly interspersed with a few silvery threads. His naturally dark complexion had assumed a still further shade of brown from the habit the unfortunate man had acquired of stationing himself from morning till eve at the threshold of his door, on the lookout for guests who seldom came. Yet there he stood, day after day, exposed to the meridional rays of a burning sun, with no other protection for his head than a red handkerchief twisted around it, after the manner of the Spanish muleteers. This man was our old acquaintance, Gaspard Caderousse. His wife, on the contrary, whose maiden name had been Madeleine Radel, was pale, meagre, and sickly-looking. Born in the neighborhood of Arles, she had shared in the beauty for which its women are proverbial, but that beauty had gradually withered beneath the devastating influence of the slow fever so prevalent among dwellers by the ponds of Aigues-Mortes and the marshes of Camargue. She remained nearly always in her second-floor chamber, shivering in her chair, or stretched, languid and feeble, on her bed, while her husband kept his daily watch at the door, a duty he performed with so much the greater willingness, as it saved him the necessity of listening to the endless plaints and murmurs of his helpmate, who never saw him without breaking into bitter invectives against fate, to all of which her husband would calmly return an unvarying reply in these philosophic words.
Hush, la cantina. There, Carnet.
Carconte.
It is God's pleasure that things should be so.
The soubriquet of La Carconte had been bestowed on Madeleine Radel from the fact that she had been born in a village, so called, situated between Salon and Lambesc, and this custom existed among the inhabitants of that part of France where Caderousse lived, of styling every person by some particular and distinctive appellation. Her husband had bestowed on her the name of La Carconte, in place of her sweet and euphonious name of Madeleine, which, in all probability, his rude Guttural language could not have enabled him to pronounce. Still, let it not be supposed that amidst this affected resignation to the will of Providence, the unfortunate innkeeper did not writhe under the double misery of seeing the hateful canal carry off his customers and his profits, and the daily infliction of his peevish partner's murmurs and lamentations. Like other dwellers of the South, he was a man of sober habits and moderate desires, but fond of external show, vain, and addicted to display. During the days of his prosperity, not a festivity took place without himself and wife being among the spectators. He dressed in picturesque costume worn upon grand occasions by the inhabitants of the south of France, bearing equal resemblance to the style adopted both by the Catalans and Andalusians, while La Carconte displayed the charming fashion prevalent among the women of Arles, a woman of attire borrowed equally from Greece and Arabia, but by degrees, watch chains, necklaces, party-colored scarves, embroidered bodices, velvet vests, elegantly worked stockings, striped gaiters, and silver buckles for the shoes, all disappeared. And Gaspard Caderousse, unable to appear abroad in his pristine splendor, had given up any further participation in the pomps and vanities, both for himself and wife, although a bitter feeling of envious discontent filled his mind as the sound of mirth and merry music from the joyous revellers reached even the miserable hostelry to which he still clung, more for the shelter than the profit it afforded. Caderousse then was, as usual, at his place of observation before the door, his eyes glancing listlessly from a piece of closely shaven grass on which some fowls were industriously, though fruitlessly, endeavoring to turn up some grain or insect suited to their palate, to the deserted road which led away to the north and south, when he was aroused by the shrill voice of his wife, and grumbling to himself as he went, he mounted to her chamber, first taking care, however, to set the entrance door wide open as an invitation to any chance traveler who might be passing. At the moment Caderousse quitted his sentry-like watch before the door, the road on which he so eagerly strained his sight was void and lonely as a desert at midday. There it lay, stretching out into one interminable line of dust and sand, with its sides bordered by tall, meager trees, altogether presenting so uninviting an appearance that no one in his senses could have imagined that any traveler, at liberty to regulate his hours for journeying, would choose to expose himself in such a formidable Sahara. Nevertheless, had Caderousse but remained his post a few minutes longer, he might have caught a dim outline of something approaching from the direction of Bellegarde. As the moving object drew nearer, he would easily have perceived that it consisted of a man and horse, between whom the kindest and most amiable understanding appeared to exist. The horse was of Hungarian breed, and ambled along at an easy pace. His rider was a priest, dressed in black, and wearing a three-cornered hat. And, spite of the ardent rays of a noonday sun, the pair came on with a fair degree of rapidity. Having arrived before the Pont du Gard, the horse stopped, but whether for his own pleasure or that of his rider would have been difficult to say. However that might have been, the priest, dismounting, led his steed by the bridle in search of some place to which he could secure him. Availing himself of a handle that projected from a half-fallen door, he tied the animal safely, and having drawn a red cotton handkerchief from his pocket, wiped away the perspiration that streamed from his brow. Then, advancing to the door, struck thrice with the end of his iron-shod stick. At this unusual sound, a huge black dog came rushing out to meet the daring assailant of his ordinarily tranquil abode, snarling and displaying his sharp white teeth with a determined hostility that abundantly proved how little he was accustomed to society. At that moment, a heavy footstep was heard descending the wooden staircase that led from the upper floor, and, with many bows and courteous smiles, the host of the Pont du Gard besought his guest to enter.
You are welcome, sir, most welcome,
repeated the astonished Caderousse.
Now then, Margotin, will you be quiet? Pray, don't heed him, sir. He only barks, he never bites. I make no doubt a glass of good wine would be acceptable this dreadfully hot day.
Then, perceiving for the first time the garb of the traveller he had to entertain, Caderousse hastily exclaimed,
1,000 pardons. I really did not observe whom I had the honor to receive under my poor roof. What would the Abbé please to have? What refreshment can I offer? All I have at his service. He's at his service.
The priest gazed on the person addressing him with a long and searching gaze. There even seemed a disposition on his part to court a similar scrutiny on the part of the innkeeper. Then, observing the countenance of the latter, no other expression than extreme surprise at his own want of attention to an inquiry so courteously worded, he deemed it as well to terminate this dumb show, and therefore said, speaking with a strong Italian accent,
You are, I presume, Monsieur Caderousse?
Yes, sir,
answered the host, even more surprised at the question than he had been by the silence which had preceded it.
I am Gaspard Caderousse, at your service.
Gaspard Caderousse. Yes. Christian. and surname are the same. You formerly lived, I believe, in Allées de Meilhan, in the fourth floor?
I did.
And you followed the business of a tailor.
True, I was a tailor till the trade fell off. It is so hot in Marseille that really I believe that the respectable inhabitants will in time go without any clothing whatsoever. But talking of heat, is there nothing I can offer you by way of refreshment?
Yes. Let me have a bottle of your best wine. And then, with your permission, we will resume our conversation from where we left off.
As you please, sir.
Shadows, who, anxious not to lose the present opportunity of finding a customer for one of the few bottles of Cahos still remaining in his possession, hastily raised a trapdoor in the floor of the apartment they were in, which served both as parlor and kitchen. Upon issuing forth from his subterranean retreat, at the expiration of 5 minutes, he found the abbe seated upon a wooden stool, leaning his elbow on the table, while Margotin, whose animosity seemed appeased by the unusual command of the traveller for refreshments, had crept up to him, and had established himself very comfortably between his knees, his long skinny neck resting on his lap, while his dim eye was fixed earnestly on the traveller's face.
Are you quite alone?
Inquired the guest as Caderousse placed before him the bottle of wine and a glass.
Quite alone. Or at least practically so. For my poor wife, who is the only person in the house besides me, is laid up with illness and unable to render me the least assistance. Poor thing.
You are married then?
Said the priest, with a show of interest, glancing round as he spoke at the scanty furnishings of the apartment.
Ah, sir, it is easy to perceive that I am not a rich man, but in the world a man does not thrive, the better for being honest.
The abbe fixed on him a searching, penetrating glance.
Yes, honest. I can certainly say that much for myself. I can boast with the truth of being an honest man, and that is more than everyone can say nowadays.
So much the better for you. If what you assert to be true, for I am firmly persuaded that sooner or later the good will be rewarded and the wicked punished.
Such words as those belong to your profession, and you do well to repeat them, but one is free to believe them or not as one pleases.
You are wrong to speak thus, and perhaps I may, in my own person, be able to prove to know you completely. You are in error.
What mean you?
Inquired
In the first
Caderousse. Sorry. Sorry. Inquired Caderousse with a look of surprise. Go on.
In the first place, I must be satisfied that you are the person I am in search of.
What proofs do you require?
Did you, in the year 1814 or 1815, know anything of a young sailor named Dantès?
Dantès? Did I know poor dear Edmond? Why, Edmond Dantès and myself were intimate friends.
Exclaimed Caderousse, whose countenance flushed darkly as he caught the penetrating gaze of the abbe fixed on him, while the clear, calm eye of the questioner seemed to dilate with feverish scrutiny.
You remind me that the young man concerning whom I asked you was said to bear the name Edmund.
Said to bear the name. Why, he was called as truly as I myself bore the appellation of Gaspard Caderousse. But tell me, I pray, what has become of poor Edmond? Did you know him? Is he alive and at liberty? Is he prosperous and happy?
Died a more wretched, hopeless, heartbroken prisoner than the felons who pay for the penalty of their crimes at the galleys of Toulon.
A deadly pallor followed the flush on the countenance of Caderousse, who turned away, and the priest saw him wiping the tears from his eyes with the corner of the red handkerchief twisted round his head.
Poor fellow, poor fellow. Why, there, sir, is another proof that good men are never rewarded on this earth, and that none but the wicked prosper. Ah. The world grows worse and worse. Why does not God, if he really hates the wicked, as he is said to do, send down brimstone and fire and consume them altogether?
You speak as though you loved this young Dantès.
Observed the abbe, without taking any notice of the companion's vehemence.
And so I did. Though once, I confess, I envied him his good fortune. But I swear to you, sir, I swear to you, by everything a man holds dear, I have since then deeply and sincerely lamented his unhappy fate.
There was a brief silence, during which the fixed, searching eye of the abbe was employed in scrutinizing the agitated features of the innkeeper.
You knew the poor lad, then?
I was called to see him on his dying bed, that I might administer to him the consolations of religion.
And of what did he die?
Of what do you think? Do young and strong men die in prison when they have scarcely numbered their 30th year, unless it be of imprisonment?
Caderousse wiped away the large beads of perspiration that gathered on his brow.
Did I miss my line?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yes,
did.
right
I'm
for-
sorry.
It's after
I'm
the
sorry.
illustration. No worries.
But the strangest part of the story is that Dantès, even in his dying moments, swore by his crucified Redeemer that he was utterly ignorant of the cause of his detention.
And so he was. How should he have been otherwise? Ah, sir, the poor fellow told you the truth.
For that reason, he besought me to try and clear up a mystery he had never been able to penetrate, and to clear his memory should any foul spot or stain have fallen on it.
And here, the look of the abbe, becoming more and more fixed, seemed to rest with ill-concealed satisfaction on the gloomy depression which was rapidly spreading over the countenance of Caderousse.
A rich Englishman, who had been his companion in misfortune, had been released from prison during the Second Restoration, was possessed of a diamond of immense value. This jewel he bestowed to Dantès upon himself quitting the prison as a mark of his gratitude for the kindness and brotherly care with which Dantès had nursed him in severe illness he underwent during his confinement. Instead of employing this diamond in attempting to bribe his jailers, who might only have taken it and then betrayed him to the governor, Dantès carefully preserved it. And that in the event of his getting out of prison, he might have wherewithal to live for the sake of such a diamond. For the sale of such a diamond would have quite sufficed to make his fortune.
Then I suppose.
asked Cadorus with eager, glowing looks.
That it was a stone of immense value?
Why, everything is relative. To one in Edmund's position, the diamond certainly was of great value. It was estimated at 50,000 francs.
Bless me! 50,000 francs. Surely the diamond was as large as a nut to be worth all that.
No, it was not of such a size as that. But you shall judge for yourself. I have it with me.
The sharp gaze of Cadorus was instantly directed towards the priest's garments, as though hoping to discover the location of the treasure. Calmly drawing forth from his pocket a small box covered with black shagreen, the abbe opened it, and displayed to the dazzled eyes of Cadorus the sparkling jewel it contained, set in a ring of admirable workmanship.
And that diamond!
Cried Cadorus, almost breathless with eager admiration.
You say is worth 50,000 francs?
It is, without the setting, which is also valuable.
Replied the abbe, as he closed the box and returned it to his pocket, while its brilliant hue seemed still to dance before the eyes of the fascinated innkeeper.
But how comes the diamond in your possession, sir? Did Edmond make you his heir?
No, merely his testamentary executor. I once possessed for 4 dear and faithful friends, besides the maiden to whom I was betrothed, he said. And I feel convinced that they have all unfeignedly grieved over my loss. The name of one of those 4 friends is Cadorus.
The innkeeper shivered.
Another of the number,
Continued the abbe, without seeming to notice the emotion of Cadorus,
is called Danglars, and the third, in spite of being my rival, entertained a very sincere affection for me.
a fiendish smile played over the features of Cadorus, who was about to break in upon the abbe's speech, when the latter, waving his hand, said,
Allow me to finish first. And then, if you have any observations to make, you can do so afterwards. The third of my friends, although my rival, was much attached to me. His name was Ferdinand. That of my betrothed was... Stay. I have forgotten what he called her.
Mercedes.
True. Mercedes it was.
Go on.
Bring me a carafe of water.
Cadorus quickly performed the stranger's bidding, and after pouring some into a glass and slowly swallowing its contents, the abbe, resuming his usual placidity of manner, said, as he placed his empty glass on the table,
Where did we leave off?
The name of Edmond's betrothed was Mercedes.
To be sure. You will go to Marseilles, said Dantès, for you understand, I repeat his words just as he uttered them. Do you understand?
Perfectly.
You will sell this diamond, You will divide the money into 5 equal parts, and give an equal portion to these good friends, the only persons who have loved me upon the earth.
But why into 5 parts? You only mentioned 4%.
Because the 5th is dead. As I hear, the 5th sharer in Edmund's bequest was his own father.
Too true, too true.
Ejaculated
The poor-
Caderousse, almost suffocated by the contending passions which assailed him.
Poor old man did die.
So much at Marseilles.
Replied the Abbe, making a strong effort to appear indifferent.
But from the length of time that has elapsed since the death of the elder Dantès, I was unable to obtain any particulars of his end. Can you enlighten me on that point?
I do not know who could if I could not. Why, I lived almost on the same floor with the poor old man. Ah, yes, about a year after the disappearance of his son, the poor old man died.
Of what did he die?
Why, the doctors called his complaint gastroenteritis, I believe. His acquaintances say he died of grief, but I, who saw him his dying moments, I can say he died of...
Caderousse paused.
Of what?
Asked the priest anxiously and eagerly.
Why, of downright starvation.
Starvation!
Exclaimed the Abbe, springing from his seat.
Why the vilest animals are not suffered to die by such a death as that. The very dogs that wander the houseless and homeless in the streets to find some pitying hand to cast them a mouthful of bread. And that a man, a Christian, should be allowed to perish in hunger in the midst of other men who call themselves Christians is too horrible for belief. Oh, it is impossible, utterly impossible.
What I have said, I have said.
And you are a fool for having said anything about it.
Said a voice from the top of the stairs.
Why should you meddle in with what does not concern you?
The 2 men turned quickly and saw the sickly countenance of La Carconte peering between the baluster rails. Attracted by the sound of voices, she had feebly dragged herself down the stairs, and seated on the lower step, head on knees, she had listened to the foregoing conversation.
Mind your own business, wife. This gentleman asked me for information which common politeness will not permit me to refuse.
Politeness, you simpleton! What have you to do with politeness, I should like to know? Better study a little common prudence. How do you know the motives that person may have for trying to extract all he can from you?
I pledge you my word, madam, that my intentions are good, and that your husband can incur no risk, provided he answers me candidly.
That's all very fine. Nothing is easier than to begin with fair promises and assurances of nothing to fear. But when poor, silly folks, like my husband there, have been persuaded to tell all they know, the promises and assurances of safety are quickly forgotten. And at some moment when nobody is expecting it, behold, trouble and misery and all sorts of persecutions are heaped on the unfortunate wretches who cannot even see whence all their afflictions come.
My good woman, make yourself perfectly easy, I beg of you. What evils may befall you, they will not be occasioned by my instrumentality. That I solemnly promise you.
La Carconte muttered a few inarticulate words, then let her head again drop upon her knees, and went into a fit of ague, leaving the two speakers to resume the conversation. Her remaining was to be able to hear every word they uttered. Again, the Abbé had been obliged to swallow a draught of water to calm the emotions that threatened to overpower him. When he had sufficiently recovered himself, he said,
It appears, then, that the miserable old man you were telling me of was forsaken by everyone. Surely, had not such been the case, he would not have perished by so dreadful a death.
Why, he was not altogether forsaken. For Mercedes the Catalan and Monsieur Morel were very kind to him, but somehow the poor old man had contracted a profound hatred of Ferdinand, the very person that you named just now as being one of Dante's faithful and attached friends.
And was he not so?
Gaspard! Gaspard!
murmured the woman from her seat on the stairs.
Mind what you are saying.
Caderousse made no reply to these words, though evidently irritated and annoyed by the interruption. But addressing the Abbé, said,
Can a man be faithful to another whose wife he covets and desires for himself? But Dantès was so honorable and true in his own nature that he believed everybody's professions of friendship. Poor Edmond, he was cruelly deceived, but it was fortunate that he never knew, or he might have found it more difficult when on his deathbed to pardon his enemies, and whatever people may say.
continued Caderousse in his native language, which was not altogether devoid of rude poetry.
I cannot help being more frightened at the idea of the malediction of the dead than the hatred of the living.
Imbecile!
Cried La Carconte.
Do you, then, know in what manner Ferdinand injured Dantès?
Do I? No one better.
Speak out, then. Say what it was.
Gaspard! Do as you will. You are master, but if you take my advice, you'll hold your tongue.
Well, wife, I don't know, but what you're right.
So you will say nothing.
Why, what good would it do? If the poor lad were living and came to me and begged that I would candidly tell him which were his true and which were his false friends, why, perhaps I should not hesitate. But you tell me he is no more, and therefore can have nothing to do with hatred or revenge. So let all such feelings be buried with him.
You prefer, then, that I should bestow on men you say are false and treacherous the reward intended for faithful friendship.
That is true enough. You say truly the gift of poor Edmond was not meant for such traders as Ferdinand and Danglars besides. What would it be to them? No more than a drop of water in the ocean.
Remember, those two could crush you at a single blow.
How so? Are these persons, then, so rich and powerful?
Do you not know their history?
I do not. Pray, relate it to me.
Caderousse seemed to reflect for a few moments, then said,
No, truly it would take up too much time.
Well, my good friend, you are at liberty to speak or be silent, just as you please. For my own part, I respect your scruples and admire your sentiments. So let the matter end. I shall do my duty as conscientiously as I can, and fulfill my promise to the dying man. My first business will be to dispose of this diamond.
So saying, the abbe again drew the small box from his pocket, opened it, and contrived to hold it in such a light that a bright flash of brilliant hues passed before the dazzled gaze of Caderousse.
Wife, come here.
Diamond?
Exclaimed la Carconte, rising and descending to the chamber with a tolerably firm step.
What diamond are you talking about?
Why, did you not hear all we said? It is a beautiful diamond left by poor Edmond Dantès to be sold, and the money divided between his father, Mercedes, his betrothed bride, Ferdinand, Danglars, and myself. The jewel is worth at least 50,000 francs.
Oh, what a magnificent jewel!
The fifth part of the profit.
Go ahead, go ahead.
The fifth part of the profits from this stone belong to us, then, does it not?
It does, with the addition of an equal division of that part intended for the elder Dantès, which I believe myself at liberty to divide equally with the 4 survivors.
And why among us 4?
As being the friends of Edmund esteemed most faithful and devoted to him.
I don't call those friends who betray and ruin you.
Murmured the wife in her turn in a low, muttering voice.
Of course not. No more do I, and that was what I was observing to this gentleman just now. I said that I looked upon it as a sacrilegious profanation to reward treachery, perhaps crime.
Remember,
Answered the abbe calmly, as he replaced the jewel and its case in the pocket of his cassock.
it is your fault, not mine, that I do so. You will have the goodness to furnish me with the address of both Ferdinand and Danglars, in order that I may execute Edmund's last wishes.
The agitation of Caderousse became extreme, and large drops of perspiration rolled from his heated brow. As he saw the abbe rise from his seat and go towards the door, as though to ascertain if his horse were sufficiently refreshed to continue his journey, Caderousse and his wife exchanged looks of deep meaning.
There, you see, wife, this splendid diamond might all be ours if we choose.
Do you believe it?
Why, surely a man of his holy profession would not deceive us.
Well, do as you like. For my part, I wash my hands of the affair.
So saying, she once more climbed the staircase leading to her chamber, her body convulsed with chills and her teeth rattling in her head, in spite of the intense heat of the weather. Arrived at the top stair, she turned around and called out in a warning tone to her husband.
Gaspard, consider well what you are about to do.
I have both reflected and decided.
Answered he. La Carconte then entered her chamber, the flooring of which creaked beneath her heavy, uncertain tread, as she proceeded towards her armchair, into which she fell as though exhausted.
Well,
Asked the abbe as
what
he returned to the apartment below.
what have you made up your mind to do?
To tell you what I know. To all I know.
I certainly think you act wisely in so doing. Not because I have the least desire to learn anything you may please to conceal from me, but simply that if, through your assistance, I could distribute the legacy according to the wishes of the testator, why, so much the better, that is all.
I hope it may be so.
Replied Caderousse, his face flushed with cupidity.
I am all attention.
Stop a minute. We might be interrupted in the most interesting part of my story, which would be a pity. And it is all well that your visit hither should be made known only to ourselves.
With these words, he went stealthily to the door, which he closed, and by way of still greater precaution, bolted and barred it as he was accustomed to do at night. During this time, the abbé had chosen his place for listening at his ease. He removed his seat into a corner of the room, where he himself would be in deep shadow, while the light would be fully thrown on the narrator. Then, with head bent down and hands clasped, or rather clenched together, he prepared to give his whole attention to Caderousse, who seated himself on the little stool, exactly opposite to him.
Remember, this is no affair of mine,
Said the trembling voice of La Carconte, as though through the flooring of her chamber she viewed the scene that was enacting below.
Enough, enough. Say no more about it. I will take all the consequences upon myself.
And he began his story. End of chapter.
Man, Gaspard tripping them death flags.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's betraying such a noble man as Ferdinand.
Hmm.
Okay, you guys, did you guys come into an accord to say Ferdinand all this time? Because not once did you guys get it right. Not once. Not once.
Honestly, as soon as Patrick said Ferdinand, I was like, I will now commit to the bit.
You guys are awful and mean.
It was completely organic.
No, it was so planned. I will never forgive you. My day is ruined. My entire read is just besmirched. I shall delete this after we're done.
I think it's completely beautiful that he didn't need to even ask any questions in private or anything. He just took the cue and ran with it.
You are corrupting them, Patrick. What is it? Yay! What do you have to say for yourself?
I mean, look, the whole point is people are going to start bits during these kinds of readings, and as the person who is treats this like an acting thing, you gotta commit to the bit.
I'd like to echo my character statements.
What?
This is no affair of mine. I didn't besmirch Ferdinand.
Exactly. Thank you, Teal. Thank you. And a little butterfly, I'm sure.
She says that while she's getting ready to stab you in the back later.
She would never. Right, Teal? Well, don't answer that. Fine. Little purple butterfly, I can count on you, right? You would never join these mischief makers.
I didn't say anything during the stream, so
I know.
I am innocent.
Okay, so let's just agree that Patrick is the ringleader, and he's slowly corrupting Ye. And Ye, you better not join them, cause then I don't know. I need an ally here somewhere.
I'm sorry, Magpie. I gotta commit to the bit. That's how it works. That's why I keep getting to make Dr. Pepper jokes. Dr. Pepper jokes, they never go out of style.
I have yet to try Dr. Pepper. You know what I'm gonna do? When we finish this read, I'm going to go and get like a nice cold Dr. Pepper, and I will drink it during the read.
Advertising works, everyone.
If only she was getting paid by Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, imagine.
Or the Coca-Cola company.
Imagine.
Little do you know, but I have secretly been paid by Dr. Pepper this entire time.
30-something years of never drinking a single Dr. Pepper, not a drop, not an ounce, nothing, only to be, brainwashed by it, by Yay, throughout this read along. That's something.
I guess I'm just gonna have to get even more silly, obscure products to
Please don't.
randomly advertise to people.
I am taking no part in this.
It reminds me of this movie called Idiocracy, where one of the president's cabinet members keeps saying "brought to you by Carl's Jr." And when asked why he kept saying it, he says, "Because I get paid every time I say brought to you by Carl's Jr."
Or more accurately, from Idiocracy, what was it? They were watering their plants with energy drinks.
Yeah, basically Gatorade, and they're like, "It's got what plants crave."
Oh my god.
It's got electrolytes.
Isn't that the one that like they were looking for like the shoe wear that they knew like only idiots or a society of idiots would wear this kind of shoe, and they looked and they looked and they looked.
Oh, the Crocs.
And they found Crocs, and they were like, yeah, there's no way this kind of stupid shoe would. And now look at the people walking around with Crocs. Yeah, a lot of brand stuff going on in that movie from what I hear. I haven't watched it, of course, but
I love
I've
that
also
movie.
never seen it. I just know.
I love that movie so much. It's a comedy that turned into a documentary.
Hmm.
I haven't watched it yet, so I can't remark. I just know about the Crocs. Let's see. If you do, by the way, okay, my sister was so angry because she's a hiker, and like sometimes you're hiking and the hike is kicking your ass, right? And she's like, I saw somebody, like a college-aged hottie, pass by. Like nothing, like going up this stupid hill. It's called Dreaded Hill. And they were wearing Crocs, and the Crocs weren't even in sports mode, and that was just the limit of her outrage of how,
Wait, Crocs? Crocs have a sports mode?
Sports mode, yeah.
Huh?
Yes. They have a sports
look,
mode.
Like that little half-ring flap thing, and if you
Yeah.
put it behind your heel, it's sport mode because
Yeah.
it'll come off less well.
All right.
Wow,
I'm sorry.
the-
What was
the-
the name
the-
of the hell?
The stupid shoe got stupider.
Exactly. What was that question, Yay?
What was the name of that hill? Because
It's
when you said it, it sounded like you said Reddit Hill.
Dreaded
and-
Hill. It's
Dreaded
Oh,
Hill. Right?
it's
That is
one.
different.
It's somewhere in Irvine or somewhere in South Orange County. I don't know. Dreaded Hill.
I'm just saying,
She
if there's
goes
a
to
hill
that one.
named Reddit, I am staying the heck away.
No, the Reddit Hill. No, well, close to it. The Dreaded Hill.
When I was in middle school in San Jose, so I was on the cross country team, and during our training, we had to run up this very steep hill that we called Heart Attack Hill,
Oh,
and it definitely earned its nickname. I mean, at the end of that hill, you were feeling like you were about to have a heart attack.
oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm not a hiker. That's like what I categorize. I'm sorry, but that's a white person sport and activity. Like if I have to go out in nature, I'll just sit in nature. I'll look at nature, but I will not hike or climb or canoe down dangerous things. I will just stay safely sitting in nature.
As a white people, I feel slightly offended and still
sorry.
vindicated at the same time.
I'm sorry, but I've noticed this terrible thing about like me as a brown person. Like the most I will do is camp, and that's it. A hike is has to be 0-degree incline. But
No,
going over rocks and boulders and going up to the mountain and risking mountain lions, it's like I don't need to take that risk. I don't. So yeah. Anybody want to go camping or whatever? I'll go. I'll just stay at the camp. I'll cook. I'll wait for everybody. I'll administer first aid, but other than that, nature, it deserves some like my respect, and I respect nature in that way. Let's see. I'm looking at the chat right now. I see that Fuji Pedals Floating in the River joined us. Oh wow, I missed a lot of chat while we were reading. It was rather a long chapter, wasn't it, everybody? But it was a good one. Byron points out, I love how Cadurus's greed betrays him. Yeah, Cadurus is like, no, I don't want to open the old wounds. No, let the dead, let the dead rest. I don't want, yeah. And then suddenly he's like, oh, you're gonna split that diamond? Go ahead.
I love that Edmund just had to, pull out the ring and be like, oh, it's such a shame that I have to get rid of this thing just to, get you your share of the money.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that was the finishing blow. Even the woman who has been like, no, you watch yourself. It's not my affair. You should take care. Like she was momentarily like, oh my gosh, the diamond! What a beautiful. It goes to say like. All girls want diamonds. Well, not me. I want opals. And specifically opals.
Diamonds are a girl's best friend.
They are rather.
Or so they say on the De Beers ads.
They are rather. Actually, I'm very partial to opals myself, but actually, I brought it up because...
You only say that because you really like that pendant that was advertised on Twitter.
Because I want to talk about it a little bit. Since you guys brought up Ferdinand, I want to bring up some Ferdinand to clear the air and cleanse the atmosphere and my spirit. But yeah, so it turns out that Theo Books has finally come up with jewelry merch that is Rosamine's engagement face stone necklace, and it is beautiful, and it is made with real opals. So yeah, I found myself just like La Cancodus or whatever her name is. What's her name? La Carconte.
La Carconte.
Yeah. I was like at night scrolling. I'm like, oh, the opal. So yeah.
I mean, you post it. Now you gotta show it on the screen.
Oh, didn't I show it? Are you not following me on X, formerly called Twitter?
I do not have a Twitter, and I am perfectly happy with this.
You know
state
what?
of affairs.
That's okay. Join me on Blue Sky or on... I don't know, what else do I have? I don't have anything else besides that. On YouTube, I guess.
My social media consists of this and YouTube. I am perfectly content to stay away from the whole rest of it.
Okay, let me figure out.
That's probably a wise choice, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
That is probably a very wise choice considering how toxic both are.
I just don't like the internet anymore.
Yeah. Well, I have to do it because the only place that there's bookworm news being updated on the regular and I have to be on top of it is X. And also I am following some really cool artists that did not I just can't, so I still follow it for that. But let's see. I will be the sacrificial lamb. I will sully my eyeballs for you guys. All right, what was that here?
I appreciate it. I technically have a Blue Sky, but only because I needed to contact a couple of artists.
Yeah, I know several authors that are in there, so I follow them closely there. Let me see. Hold on a second. Let me just show you guys this. Hold on. Oops, sorry.
In theory, I probably have a MySpace, but
Whoa! You're aging yourself.
Not
something
to age
dreadful.
myself here. Yeah.
Hold on a second. Oh my, what am I doing? Sorry, you guys. I am looking
MySpace
for a
was
way.
cool when I was in high school.
The magpie is hunting for her opal.
X. Where is that screen? Oh, is this it? No. What did I do? I did something terrible. Well, you guys keep talking while I try to fix it.
Announcements here.
Discard. I know. I've done something awful to my Discord. Okay.
Should we say something to besmirch the name of Ferdinand?
Look, you
while
stop
she's searching?
it. Please
Of
don't.
course, we're not going to besmirch the name
It's
of
not
Ferdinand.
fair. I'm trying here to show the opal and it's not working. Oh, man.
Oh,
I was going to
This?
say, I think you intimated this is their first step into jewelry, but you could get the baptismal rings before from the
That's
Teal
true.
bookstore.
That's true. You could get also the hold on a second, let me see if I can. You could also get the hair stick.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, I'm showing it. I'm showing a little bit because for some reason it's not cooperating it here. There we go. You see it? You see it, yay.
I do.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it here too. Might as well. Yeah, so it says, uses natural opal stone. The decorations around the stone and the box are filled with intricate details, delivered with a special card enclosed. Yeah, so adding to one of those things that I admire, but I will never really go and spend the big money on, because I've never been really much for splurging on big things, so. And at this rate,
Fair.
it's going to be really expensive. Yeah, so there is that. Let me see, who else is in the chat? Philip Demic is also here, or was also here. Philip, are you still here? Was here and said... Where is that? Oh, I lost it. I lost the comment. Where did the comment go? Says, the goddess of time deemed that this is the time I log in to hear about Ferdinand. No, Philip, no. This is just them making trouble for me. Let's see. Akihan is also with us. Hey.
Ferdinand is definitely evil. He's called the evil throughout the stories. So
Fernand. The name is Fernand.
I'm sorry, but the Lord of Evil has never been named Fernand.
Look, please, everybody, please ignore Patrick. He's just causing trouble and confusion. Akihana says, Akihana is with me. Says, I've tried hiking once, never again. Exactly, right? And Red Tempest has an announcement. Let's see, what does it say? I have an announcement to make it. Lost all my meme making tools I had saved, so making memes may not be easy anymore. Oh, wait, what? What happened to your phone? Is it your phone? I have an announcement to make it. Lost all my meme making. What? Is it your phone? Your computer? What? Does that mean that we will not get as many memes as before? Well, that's sad, but it's probably because you did all of those sideburn memes with Ferdinand, so...
More sideburns!
No, it's a sign from the heavens.
Sideburns and a side of cowbell.
Alright. Says, yes, you can get the rings, Fuji Petals, you can get the rings and the hair stick. I don't know if they're still on sale, but every so often you can, like, they announce, like, oh, we're selling this or we're selling that, so... But right now, the newest thing is this opal necklace. So get it if you can afford it. Best of luck to you. Also, announcements, kind of like unrelated to what we just read, but there's stuff going on. We finally got the announcement that we're getting a part 5 adaptation of the manga. And yes, it is going to be it's going to be made by Suzuka, which we all love. Yay! I love her artwork. She makes really cute artwork. I can't say that she draws my favorite Ferdinand, but you know what? That's fine. That's fine. She makes the best little chibi faces, so I will take that.
Well, you do have a bit of good news here. Fuji is definitely on your side and not mine. She's cursing me in the chat.
Thank you. Fuji, bless you. Now, Red, Red, who is your empress here? Your empress says, please do not waste any energy futilely. by making.
I'm sorry, but the saint
no.
outranks the empress.
No, no. All right, everybody. You see what I have to put up with every single week, twice a week. No, 3 times a week. Well, actually, only twice a week because for most of the time on the the Thursday live that we do, people are usually well behaved.
I'm quite quiet.
Yeah. That's what happens when he doesn't watch the good anime. I don't know what he's watching, but he's not watching the good ones.
I'm watching actual peak anime because, romance it's garbage.
Yeah, okay, well, I will not say what I want to say. I will just say, come join us on Thursday, and...
Mother's Basement agrees with me. He also calls it trash.
Whatever.
That's mostly.
Whatever.
What is his own pick?
You know what?
I don't actually know if he calls it trash or not.
You
I just
know
wanted
what?
to call him out.
Whatever. It doesn't matter, but whatever. You guys are not cultured individuals. You guys don't like romance. And that is perfectly in line with what I figured. That's fine. Anyway, you guys, hope you join us on Thursday. For anime roundup, weekly anime roundup. Or if not, on Friday. Friday here for more Count of Monte Cristo. It's going to be a very long chapter. I don't know if we're going to split it into 2, but it's a long one. So be on the lookout for that, as always. Anything else? I think, you were going to say something?
Nah, nothing important.
Akihana says, I never want to hike again because it's difficult doing nature's business when hiking. Yeah, it is. There's like a protocol about
maybe for
hiking.
girls. For guys, it's a lot easier.
Thanks for that. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. That's also why I don't like that. Okay. You can stay with me in the camp, Kihana. Let's just stay in the camp and read and tan and have snacks.
Fire, make marshmallows.
Yeah, while everybody goes and endangers life.
Because that's what camping is, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Akihana knows romance is not garbage. Yeah, exactly. Okay. That is all.
4K! Akihana, you were supposed to be on my side.
No, Akihana knows best. And I think now that we are at this point, it's a good time to end this stream. Thank you all for joining us today. Today, reading was The Abbé / Edmond Dantès, because yes, the Abbé was Edmond, you guys. Yes, it was. Surprise.
That's a surprise.
Oh, no. I'm in danger.
Yes, Caderousse, so you are. Remember what
Red, we need that meme. We need that meme.
Alright, also, Gaspard Caderousse was read by Yay82, and La Carconte Madeleine Radel was read by Teal. Teal, the perfect amount of whiny, kind of deal situation. I liked it.
Yeah, I had to be a nag.
Yeah.
Sorry if that was too much for some people.
It was perfect.
At least between you and Chatteroos, at least she had all of the brain cells.
That's not to say a lot.
I mean, she also suffered from some of his failings, so
Yeah.
They remind me of the innkeeper couple from Les Mis.
yes.
Yeah.
I'm glad someone else said it. I was thinking Master of the House the entire time.
Oh. All right, you guys, take care. I have had a lot of fun, and I'll see you guys on Friday as we continue on the story. Until then, you guys take care, stay safe. See you. Say bye-bye, gang.
Bye, gang.
Bye, gang.
Adios.
Bye.
His name is
Au
Ferdinand.
revoir.
Shush.
You don't know who I was talking about?
Oh, I know. You shall be reprimanded.
Yeah,